So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. It's Dredd, the game of crime fighting in Mega City 1 from Games Workshop in 1982. It's a little bit lighter fare. It's kind of like playing a comic book, sort of. It's got a lot of really neat components. I'm looking forward to trying it out. Glad to have it in my collection. Obviously the art is incredible. The game designer is Ian Livingstone. The artist Brian Ballard does the box cover, and then Ian Gibson does the board. It says looks like you're right inside a comic book, so very impressive. I like how the colorful Judge Dredd stands out against a kind of a monotone background. It's a bookshelf type of game. Mega City 1, a vast metropolis of the 22nd century, where more than 800 million citizens live in a knife edge of tension. Crime is a way of life for many, but one fact can be relied on: Judge Dredd is the law. He's the toughest lawman of them all. Whether the crime is littering or murder, no one escapes his justice. Now you can join Judge Dredd in his fast action game of crime fighting in Mega City 1. You can arrest the Angel Gang, Dredd's Death, Orlok the Assassin, and other notorious lawbreakers. But look out, they're tough, and sometimes you might need a Roboduck to fix you up. So it's a lower complexity game. They have it as a between 2 and 3 and a level of 1 to 5. I'd say it's probably on the lower end of that. It's a fair amount of chance involved, and it's plays 2 to 6 players. Components are all very well done. The rulebook, surprisingly, is fairly short. Actually, of the nice cover art. It's 4 pages, but of that, there's really only like 2 pages of rules, and then some additional information on back. Only half the page there. And again, here's the detailed credits, and including the playtesters. So it's listed as, of course, it's 1982 Games Workshop Limited, and it also 1982 IPC Magazines Limited. Additionally, so there's a lot of cards involved, and it's got this handy card reference. It's background information on the sectors, crimes, and perpetrators from the comic 2000 AD. So it gives you a lot of good flavor there. Basically shows what's on the cards. So that's a good reference. And the other items, there's 54 of these action cards. There's 21 sector cards, 28 perp cards, 28 crime cards, and then there's judge cards for each of the different players. And then there's also a turn start card. So here's some examples of the cards, action cards. Of course, the art is outstanding. A couple examples: Roboduck fixes you up in no time. You may leave intensive care immediately, or you set your lawmaster on auto as decoy. Add 1 to your combat roll. Another example would be Max Normal, the best dressed informer in Mega City 1. Gives you the lowdown, move any perp and crime on the board, up to 2 sectors in a direction. Or your infrared sights allow a clear shot at a perp in the gloom. Add 1 to your combat roll. And then examples of crimes: scrawling, tap, sectors. So sectors correspond to the different positions on the board. This power tower, one example. Perpetrators, for example, there's this combat values: 5, Spire Schultz, Blitz Agent; 9, the Angel Gang. And then these are the judge cards for each of the 6 players, and the turn start card. And the version I got, there's also these, well, there's dice comes with it, of course. And there's these really nice little miniatures. It's nice to get some unique miniatures in the game there too. Different cards then. So of course the action cards are the actions and items. The equipment that affect judges during the course of crime busting. 21 sector cards are the sector locations except the starting sectors in Justice Department. Perp cards are the perpetrators of crime. Crime cards are the type of crime. And there's a board. It is two separate sections that each fold in half. It's 22 by 16 when you put them both together. Again, visually it looks great. So these are the different sectors that the judges will go to investigate crimes. Some of the different sectors I go through I'll indicate some of their starting sectors. So there's West 17 Test Labs, which is a starting sector. Sunshine Synthetic Foods, Rikers Shuggy Hall, The Maze, Justice Department Armory, which is a starting sector, the Dream Palace, the Palais de Boeing, the Spaceport, which is also a starting sector, the Moonray Tower, the Charles Darwin Block, Harlem Hall Airball Stadium, Agra Dome, the Alien Zoo, Otto Sump's Ugly Clinic, Smokatorium, the Travel Bureau, Justice Department Hospital, which has an intensive care unit, the Weather Congress, City Hall, which is also a starting sector, Grand Hall of Justice, starting sector, Statue of Judgment, New U Face Parlor, Devil's Island, Channel 99, Rizik, Academy of Law, which is also a starting sector, and the Power Tower. And go through the rules here. Mega City 1 is the most advanced city on Earth in the 21st century. The law is enforced and justice is dispensed on the streets by judges, the most famous of whom is Judge Dredd. In this game, each player is a judge patrolling Mega City 1. Crime reports come in and each judge races to the scene in an attempt to arrest a criminal. The winner is a judge who has arrested the greatest value of criminals and crimes by the end of the game. So starting the game, take a number of judge cards equal to the number of players, less one, and shuffle the turn start card, and among them, deal one to each player. The players turn their card face up and place in front of them. The player with the turn start card also takes an unused judge card and the matching colored playing piece. The player with the turn start card now places their piece in the board in a starting sector, which I mentioned. The next player places it in an accompanying starting sector of his or her choice. The player with the turn start card now sets up the game. So setting up crimes, turn the top card of the sector pack over. This is a sector from which a crime has been reported. Place the top card in the perp pack face down on the board in the designated sector. This is the perp committing the crime. Place the top card of the crime pack face up on top of the perp card. This crime being reported. Repeat this process until there are 6 crimes on the board. The player with the turn start card now deals 6 action cards face down to each player. Players may look at their cards, but should keep them concealed from the other players. Then the first game turn is now ready to start. The game turn consists of 2 rounds, movement and arrest. In the movement round, all players move and play action cards. In the arrest round, all players may play action cards, and those they're able to must attempt an arrest. Movement round, the player with the turn start card moves first, and the player to the left, and continuing that way. Movement rules, the player may move his or her playing piece up to 2 adjacent sectors in any direction. Sectors either side of a river are only adjacent if connected by a bridge. Immediately a judge enters a sector containing a crime, the perp card is turned face up. A player may not move out of a sector in which there is a crime unless there is another judge in that sector who is able to attempt an arrest, or he/she is barneyed, which we'll talk about later. More than one judge cannot occupy the same sector. Appropriate action cards may be played by players during the movement round. After all players have moved, and no player wishes to play further action cards, the arrest round begins. The arrest round, the player with the start card attempts an arrest first, if able, then the player to the left, and so on. The arrest rules are, a judge in the same sector as a crime must attempt an arrest. A judge may only attempt one arrest each arrest round. Making an arrest, to make a successful arrest, the judge's total combat factor must be higher than that of the perp being arrested. Judge's combat factor. Judge has a basic combat factor of 5 plus 1 die roll. Action cards may be played that give additional die rolls and addition subtractions. These must be played before the die is rolled for either side. Perp's combat factor. The combat value of a perp is printed rather than a perp card. Combat value of the crime being committed is also printed on the crime card. The perp's total combat value is his/her own plus that of the crime plus 1 die roll. Arrest process. All action cards played are placed face up in front of the judge. There is no order, and any player can play additional cards on the judge. The judge then totals his combat factor, taking the cards into consideration. Another player rolls the die for the perp and states the perp's total combat factor. The judge then rolls the die and states his total combat factor. The judge makes a successful arrest, takes the perp and crime cards and places them face up beside his/her judge card. If the perp's total is higher than the judge's, the arrest fails, and the judge must be placed immediately in the intensive care unit in the Justice Department hospital sector. If the two totals are equal, there's a standoff. The judge must attempt to arrest the perp again next arrest round, unless the perp is no longer in that sector or the judge is somehow able to leave the sector. There's 2 or more crimes in a sector. If a judge is in a sector containing 2 or more crimes, he or she may choose which one to try and arrest. 2 or more judges attempting the same arrest. All judges present in a crime must attempt an arrest. The perp's total is decided as normal and applies to all judges. The judge who beats the perp by the greatest margin makes a successful arrest. If 2 or more judges tie, the one who has seen the crime first makes the successful arrest. All judges who total less than the perp's total go immediately to intensive care. After the last player has attempted his/her arrest, the arrest round is ended. The game turn also ends. Replenishing cards. The player with a turn start card now passes to the player to the left. The new player with a turn start card must now replenish the crimes back to 6 if necessary. As for setting up crimes, reshuffle and then reuse the sector pack when exhausted. Issue players with new action cards. Issuing action cards at the end of the game, each game turn. Each player may be issued with 1 new action card, except players in the following sectors, when action cards are issued, may receive up to 2. West 17 Test Lab, City Hall, Academy of Law, Justice Department, Armory. A player in the Grand Hall Justice sector may receive up to 6 action cards. No player may ever hold more than 6 action cards. A player may discard action cards from his/her hand before being issued with new ones. Discarded and used action cards are placed in the discard pile. When all players have been issued with new action cards, the next game turn starts as before. Intensive care unit. Intensive care unit is not part of the Justice Department hospital proper. Any judge in intensive care, therefore, cannot arrest any perp in the Justice Department hospital sector. A player starting his/her movement in the intensive care unit may only move from there into the Justice Department hospital sector that movement round. No action cards other than a Roboduck card may be played on a player in intensive care. He/she may play action cards on others though. Action cards general rules. Action cards may be played by any player at any time during game turn only. A player may play an action card at the appropriate time on any player he or she chooses, even him or herself. Most action cards have an or optional action. The player who plays the action card states which of the 2 options is to take effect. Unless stated otherwise in special notes, only option affecting combat factors plays on an action card played during the arrest round. If both options apply, the player playing the card decides which takes effect. Action cards played in an arrest attempt must be played before either side has rolled the die. Immediately an action card has taken effect, it is placed on the discard pile. Those effects in combat are not carried through to next arrest round, even if there was a standoff. End of the game. Once the last perp card and perp pack is used up, the game will end after one complete round of game turns has been played. The winner. At the end of the game, each player tells the combat values of the perps and crimes that he/she is arrested. The player with the highest total wins. You have two or more judges tie. They settle in the traditional method of Mega City 1. The cadet's right rule. The judges all place their playing pieces immediately in the Academy of Law and conduct an arrest attempt, fighting each other. The victor wins the game. In the version of the game, in the copy of the game I got on eBay, there were like almost double the amount of sector and perp cards, and I think that was probably just a generous seller. I don't think it's actually that way. I'm just going with the number that they say is in the game. So then here's special notes and action cards. Most action cards are self-explanatory, but there's some special notes for different types. Miss move, next move. First, the players next turn the movement round. Roped out cards. These may be played on any judge in intensive care. That judge then leaves intensive care immediately, going to the Justice Department hospital sector. He/she then can move and arrest as usual. Barney cards. These may only be played during the movement round. The judge is played on must go immediately to the sector designated by the card unless he/she is in a quarantine sector or plays an action card that is a judge who can deal with new orders from Barney. A judge can be barneyed out of a sector containing a crime. A judge who has been barneyed may still move that movement around if he/she had not yet moved. Tip off cards. Somebody's allow a perp to and accompanying crime to be moved. Normal movement rules apply. Perp may enter or leave, move through a sector occupied by a judge or another crime. And special cards. Block Mania. This may be played any time in the game turn as long as the two judges chosen have yet to attempt an arrest that game turn. In the arrest round, they must fight each other for an arrest. This is their arrest attempt that round. The beaten judge goes to intensive care. They do not fight again in the event of a standoff. Requisition. This may be played any time during the game turn. Only revealed cards to a player's hand may be requisitioned. Edwin Parksy. This must be played on a judge who has just made a successful arrest. The arrest perp and crime cards are discarded and take no further action in the game. Judge Dredd. This must be played when attempting to arrest a perp before the die has been rolled for either side. Quarantine. Judges in the quarantine sector cannot leave it by any means whatsoever until the quarantine is lifted. Alien creature escapes. The judge may move into but not out of the sector until the creature is defeated. The creature may be placed on a sector in which there is no judge. Once the creature is defeated, the card is placed on a discard pile. Benji Dunan steals action cards, not crimes or perps. Outdoor Bowing. Playing the tip-off card prevents the recipient from going to intensive care. Both tip-off and bowing card are then discarded. So setting up here then, I'll be doing a 3-player game. So first of all, you take the number of judge cards equal to the number of players less 1, so I'll take 2 judge cards. Then I'll take the turn start card, shuffle it in with those that I chose. Then the players turn up. So first it's red, purple, and then turn start card. So we'll have red and purple, and then the one that they got the turn start card gets to choose whatever color they want, and they'll go with yellow. They'll be going first, so they'll keep that. Then they'll take the yellow judge card. And then the starting player places a starting sector. They'll choose the Grand Hall of Justice. Then the other players choose as well. The red judge will go to the West 17 Test Labs. Purple judge will go to the Justice Department Armory. So then the starting player sets the crimes up. So first of all, to the sector, so power tower, down here. Choose a perp randomly, set there, and then you take a crime, put on top of that. Choose another sector, Moonray Tower, put a perp there, and a crime. Charles Darwin block, perp, crime. Agrodome, perp, crime. Harlem Heroes Airball Stadium, perp and crime. And then lastly, Alien Zoo, perp and crime. So the crimes we have are arson, kidnap, tap, alien seed selling, which is interesting that that's in the Alien Zoo area, but that's coincidence. Scrawling and emergency. And then each of the 3 players randomly gets 6 action cards. And normally they would just hide them from the others, but since I'm playing against myself, I'll show them all. So I got 6 up here for yellow, 6 for red, and 6 for purple. Then we'll get into play. So we'll start the movement. Yellow goes first because it has a turn start card. You can go up to 2. 1, 2. Let's go into this crime scene. And we turn up what the perp is there. So it's tap. And Spider Schultz Blitz Agent. He won't play any action cards quite yet. Then we go to red. He can move 2. Let's see what cards he has first. He'll go down to this crime scene. See what the perp is. So it's Geek Gordon with arson. He's going to play an action card. He's going to do this one here. Some footsies do an outdoor boing from the top of traveler block, of a tower block. Let's see you play a tip-off card. They will land on you and go to Justice Hospital Intensive Care. So he'll play that. He'll play that on yellow. His other option would be he could add 2 to his combat roll. So yellow goes to intensive care. Purple. He'll move. This should be an easy one to get because it's kind of a low combat roll. So he'll go over here to scrawling. See who the perp is. But it's the Angel Gang, so they're pretty tough. They got 9. But he's going to apply this card during the movement phase to red, which is some perp has slipped some Uncle Umpty candy in with your Mega Mints. You love it so much, you'll miss your next move. So he'll apply that to red so they can't move next time. Then we do the combat. So yellow's in intensive care, but they have a Roboduck card. The Roboduck fixes you up in no time. You may leave intensive care immediately. So he'll just move out to the sector here. And discard that card. But he doesn't have any combat. So red can't move next time, but he can do combat this time. So he'll use this card for his combat, which is your anti-dazzle visor gives you the edge. Add 2 to your combat roll. So I'll use this card, which is you have a weather warrant, which allows you to order local fog to cover your actions at one of the combat roll. So he's got 2 + 1, 3 to his combat base, and his combat base is 5, so he's got 8. And then the perp has 2 for the perp and then 4 for the crime, so 6. So first we'll go for the judge. So 10 versus 8, so he's successful. Then we'll discard these, and he collects these. And then purple will do combat. So he's up against the little crime of scrawling, but he's also up against the angel gang, so he's going to see what he can do here. He has to try to make an arrest, but he's kind of limited what he can do. So he's going to try. A rookie judge is with you on patrol at 1 to your combat roll. And also, you surprise the perp by using section pads and add 1 to your combat roll, so he's got +2, so he's got 7. Total of 8. And he's already lost because the total of Scrawling Angel being is 10, but just for completeness. So he goes to intensive care. And none of them are in an area where they can get more than 1 action card, so they'll each get 1 action card. So on crime came off the board, so we got to replenish. So there's 6 of them. Autosum's Ugly Clinic. And we do the perp and the crime. And then yellow will go. They need to collect some perp, so they're gonna go up here. Okay. Then we'll go to red. They missed their turn, so they can't move. So purple has a robo-doc. They'll use that to get out of intensive care. And then I'll move up here to see what's going on with this crime. Toby Gee's kidnap. Then we'll do the combat round. Yellow. So yellow's got a pretty good challenge. It's Joseph Madtooth McGill and alien seed selling. Total of 9. So he's going to do a couple cards. He's got 1 that adds an extra roll to the combat factor. That's good. And also, I think he needs a little bit more, so he's got this other one. This perp is well hidden. You send in the robo dogs, add 3 to your combat roll, so he's got an extra die and then +3. So he's got 5 + 8, and then 1 more die roll. 13, and then the regular die roll. 18, so he's in pretty good shape. And he'll automatically win, but for completeness there, 9, 15, so he's successful. Collects the perps and crime. Red doesn't have any combat. Purple is going against Dobie Quig and Kidnap. See what he has here. He's got a few add 1s to the combat roll. He does have to fight, so right now he's 5 versus 10, so he's going to need some bonuses there. All of his cards are just +1, so I guess he'll try one of those. It's looking pretty unlikely, but he's got 6, so 11 versus 14, so he loses and goes to intensive care. They each get 1 more action card. None of them are beyond 6 yet, so they get all the cards. Then we'll go to yellow. they're not going to face the Angel Gang there. It's too tough. So they're going to go to the Mega City 5000 here. And they're going to play Joe Lips Lazarus, Squeals, and a Perp. Move any one Perp and a crime on board up to 2 sectors in any direction. So he's going to mess with Red over here. And it's a pretty tough crime. So he's going to put them there so that he'll have to combat them, try to make an arrest. Because he can't leave there without trying. And then, so Red won't move, but let's see what they have. Guess he won't do anything. Purple, so he can only move into the Justice Department hospital sector. Then we'll do combat. Yellow. Has Judge Death, which is unfortunate, and the Mega City 5000. So it's looking pretty tough for him because Judge Death is 10. So let's see what he has. So he would, right now it's 5 versus 14, so it's 9 difference. So he would need at least adding 3 to get a potential tie. He could add 4, but he's pretty sure he's going to lose this battle, so he's not going to invest any cards in that. So he's lost that one. He goes to intensive care. Red. It's got a tough battle too. He's got 5 versus 10. Let's see what he has. He can add 2 to a combat roll. 2 more to a combat roll. And 1 more to combat roll. So by using Myclon gas grenade, you can add 2 to his combat roll. Sell them the perp up with your long gun before closing in. Add 2 to the combat roll. And get your Lawmaster on. Auto's decoy. And 1. So he's got 5. So even odds there. So he'll go 3. Purpose 3. So it's a tie. But he loses his cards and he's got to stay there. So that's all the combat. Hopefully that gives you a better sense how to play it. That's Judge Dredd from Games Workshop from 1982. It's a pretty simple game. But you're basically playing a comic book, and a lot of the character is in the different cards and the art. The combat obviously is pretty simple. But there's strategy. You can mess up your opponents by doing various messing up their combat strings or moving them where they don't want to go. A lot of luck involved, of course, but it's enjoyable kind of getting immersed in the world of Judge Dredd, I guess, in this alternate universe. Definitely high marks for the art. If you're looking for a simple game that plays pretty quick, so it's fun. So for what it is, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Definitely glad I have my collection. Thanks a lot.